This video is the last part of 3 videos which concerns going from a Revit 3D model to Navisworks 4D scheduling simulation. And I have, to simplify it, just concentrated on the basement of this particular project. If I click onto the basement here, you will see it is about this basement, and previously we had type-coded each of the items in the basement, the columns, the walls, the insulation, the asphalting, tanking of the walls, etc., by going into the add-ins and putting in a type code on the type parameters, and the type code is here. And this I've done for all the elements in the building, but in particular the ones in the cellar or the basement. And then I've exported them to Sigma by clicking on the export to Sigma, and this had resulted in this export file add-in, which is a subject of, as mentioned before, another video. So I won't deal with that part now. Once I had exported it to Sigma, so I had got a calculation here showing the whole building here, but I'm really only going to concentrate on the basement, or the cellar in this case, to illustrate the 4D simulation in Navisworks. So what I've done is I've got my basement here, which is detailed to such a degree that it illustrates all the things in Revit I want to show in the plan or in the simulation. And here it is. And the first thing I have to do in Navisworks is actually to open up the file, which is this one here. And we have our basement here, and I have already set up sets, and that is the subject of the previous video. And if I click on these sets, one should be able to see them highlighted on the actual the model here in Navisworks. So all the sets have been chosen, as you can see, and all are being highlighted as I click on the sets panel. The next thing we have to do is to get our schedule, our MS project schedule, into the Navisworks. And the way to do that is to go in and click on Add, and then choose MS Project up here. And I navigate to the place where my MS Project file is. And as you can see, this is the file with detail around the basement. And I want to click on task type. I'm going to use ID. And I'm just going to concentrate on the start date, which is here, S for start, and the finish date, which is F for finish, there, the end date in other words. I'll just concentrate on these two. The economy we can come back to in another video, but I'm going to click those, and when I go into my timeliner, I right click on here and rebuild hierarchy, and when I go into my tasks, I should see my my schedule built up here. And as you can see here, we have a precise breakdown of the schedule from MS Project here, with the actual bars, which you can actually zoom in and out of if you want to, so you can get different detail on it. And the next step now is to open this curtain and look for attached, because now what I want to do is I want to attach these sets to the schedule here. And to do this, what we do is we simply move on to the very first item here, and if we click under the attached here, right click here, then we can attach our set to whatever it is we want to attach it to. In this case here, polystyrene layer under a basement floor. And in this way I continue down the list here by right clicking and setting or attaching the set to the specific item that's shown on this side here, over here, by choosing them over here. And you can see this icon indicates that an attachment has been made. And I do these for all the different items on my list here. For example, here I have 30 by 30 columns. Right click, attach to 30 by 30 columns here on the list. And this I do for the whole series of items on this list here, which is my Gantt chart. Note that it must be done in this attached column here. Also note that you may not have given them the same name. For example, here I call it South Long Basement Wall, but in my attachment here it's just called South Long Wall, so be aware of that too. Now that I've attached all my sets to my schedule here, I can go into the simulate area here, and I can click on settings, and let's look at the settings here. We have an interval size, and we can choose the playback duration. Let's choose a slow duration of 25 seconds, for example, and click OK. And when we go back into the timeliner and into the simulations field here, we can just close this down a bit, and maybe we can zoom a little out in this area here. I'll just zoom out a little so we can see a little bit more of the picture. And let's go back into the timeline again under simulate, and let's do a play. And as you can see here, the weeks are going, and as we go along we'll be able to see the simulation hopefully happen in this area here. Nothing is happening right now. Oops, I forgot to mention one very important detail. We also need to figure out what task type this is, and we have a choice between construction, demolition or temporary. So in this case we're choosing construction for them all because they're all construction sets. So I'm just going to choose construction in all of them. I've also noticed that there are a lot of stuff ahead of me in this before the basement actually comes. This is obviously a mistake, so I need to delete these items above, because they are the reason why things are not working so well right now. Let me just go back and delete them properly. Well, actually this gives me an opportunity to tell you how we can actually simulate the settings from a specific date, because my basement here has been planned from the around about the 25th of the 12th 2012. So if I go into my settings and I choose that here as the 25th and the duration, as I said, to 25 seconds, click OK. Then when I go back into my simulate here and play, I should be able to see here the playback being built. As you can see here, the different items of the project are being shown here on this simulation, and we can see the timeline here moving along too. So basically, let me just zoom in on this. I can always go backwards too from this. By clicking here, I can play backwards, so I can see, as it were, my building being deconstructed. And I can play again. Maybe I should just zoom in a little bit here. You can now see more, a little bit more of the diagram. Go back into the timeline, into simulate, and play it again, and we'll be able to see the different parts of the construction being constructed. And when it gets to the end of the sequence, we can play it backwards again. And that ends this video about simulation in 4D in Navisworks.